stream for my chat today, so we don't start out with everyone on Twitch muted, which happened yesterday. Happy Thursday. It is Thursday this time. Yesterday I said happy Thursday and it was actually Wednesday, and it was very embarrassing, and the UK Board of Academic Certification knocked at my house later and took my PhD away because I didn't know which day of the week it was. Very, very embarrassing, very upsetting, but I'm okay now. Welcome to Indies Under the Knife, my stream every Thursday where I play games that you've sent in, submitted via the form that is over there on the website, indiegameclinic.com. This is predominantly a Patreon-funded channel, so you can find out how to support the channel over there on indiegameclinic.com, and patrons also get to jump the queue. So we do a fortnightly stream where I just play games from our Discord members. The games you're going to be seeing today are the ones that have been submitted by indiegameclinic.com, and I just play through games, give them my initial gut reaction. What qualifies me to do that? Nothing really. I think the most important thing about getting your games play tested is just getting gut reactions from people and seeing what they like and don't like about your game. But I have been a professional game designer in various places, mostly mobile and games as service type studios, and I got kind of tired of doing that, and I thought, hey, is there a way I can help indie developers in some way while also getting to teach game design like I used to do it in a university? And that's what this channel is. Now, those of you who have been following will know that the backlog for submissions to this stream is kind of ridiculously long, so I'm just trying to move the spreadsheet around so that you can't see the nuclear launch codes on it or anyone's email addresses. So this is my spreadsheet for submissions. This is all the stuff that I haven't played yet. And if we go down, there's like 200 things on this list. So what we're going to do today, I've put a filter on that has highlighted every itch link on here. And what we're going to do is we're going to whiz through as many browser-based itch games as we can in this time. So if you're watching the VOD, by the time shortly after the VOD goes up after the stream, I will go through and put timestamps on and put links to most of these games if they are public demos and not private playtests. So if you want to know the names of the games, they will be in the description afterwards, and we're just going to try and play as many of these as we can. My multi-stream is not updating to have the YouTube in. So what I'm going to have to do is have YouTube open on my phone. Like some kind of reprobate double screening while streaming. Chris said, heads up that the thumbnail bottom right gets covered up by the upcoming stream label and looks like Indies Under the Knee as a result. That's fine. I mean, I feel like that's still on brand. That's still on brand. Get under my knee, you indies. That's your punishment if you make a bad game. So, what we're going to do... Tim says it's my channel, I can do whatever I want. Thank you, Tim. I've been waiting for your approval. We're going to jump through as many of these as we can. And this one's a download, so I'm going to immediately skip it. So I'm going to just leave myself a little note that Crypt ID will get played another time. It's already becoming more complex than I wanted it to be. Actually, what I'll do is I'll tick them off as I play them. Right. So, Nebulous Proto. That's a download as well. We'll start off with Deep Drawgen. Let's see what's going on here. So a lot of these are going to be smaller unfinished games because they are on itch is Deep Drawgen? Choose what deck to draw from and choose what deck to discard to. Slay monsters to find the key to get to the next floor. Okay, we're doing a sort of experimental mechanics thing with decks. That is the sound from this channel, isn't it? Yeah, cool. The goal is to create a game about being a monster encyclopedia and learning and memorizing unique mechanics or stats. So some mechanics are going to be meant for you to find on your own. Trial and error as part of the experience. Okay, I do like this. I like it when trial and error is part of the experience, but there has to be an underlying core that's easy to understand, because if trial and error is part of your game mechanics, there still needs to be something. There still needs something for the player to do while they're working out the other stuff, you know. Red potion heals, blue potion lowers poison, crossbow is a ranged attack. Right, let's see how this works. So I'm drawing. These are my actions, I guess. And I can just click on them to attack. Poison 3, drink. What did everyone have for breakfast? So, yeah, the games are already decided. They're in a queue. So I'm not going to be playing anything anyone submits through chat, because a lot of these games have been waiting for months and months. So. Okay. Key found, finding. Is that a key? That better not be a key, because it doesn't look much like a key to me. Right. Draw. So I'm already not understand. Choose what deck to draw from and what deck to discard to. Okay. I don't seem to be choosing what deck to discard to. I also... This is a bit of a meaningless choice, because it's just a choice of two random things and I don't know what they are. It's not really a choice at that stage. You know, choosing from two decks where you don't know what you're going to get is not really experientially any different from choosing from one deck. It's kind of like the British electoral system. They're both the same. So I feel like we're designing around what we think is a unique mechanic here. Oh, you're drawing from two decks, but it's not like we're looking at a set of cards on a table where I can see how high each one is, and I can go, well, that's got less in, and I haven't had the thing come out of that yet, so I'll draw the smaller deck. There's nothing here to inform the decision I'm making about which deck to draw from. Oh, is a Bite Me on at the same time? Well, Bite Me know I'm on at the same time every Thursday, so, you know. I would say let's go and do a raid, but I don't know what that is or how to do one. So, you know. Boomer problems. Okay, what are these? So these are like some sort of magical object that do a thing that I'm supposed to experiment with. I just don't think this has enough feedback to be able to do the thing that you're saying. So the developer has said, right, you're going to need to do trial and error and experiment, but when I click on these, there's not really any feedback to show what's happening. So it's not like I can really understand the outcome of my experiments. For game mechanics to be legible, you need feedback from them. So it's okay to have like an item that doesn't have a tooltip, doesn't tell you what it does, and you have to just use it to find out what it does. But I didn't find out what that did when I used it. I used that one, I used that one. It was not clear what happened. You died. So really the only agency in this, drawing a card isn't any agency there, because I have to draw a card to advance the game, and there's no difference between the decks. So the only real choice I'm making is, when do I click here versus when do I click here? It's kind of back to the JRPG problem again, of like not really making any interesting decisions. So I think the way that the bow works is it doesn't sort of it doesn't generate a counterattack when you use that. Or it doesn't seem to make any difference again. So if I shoot them, they seem to do maybe less damage to me, but they still do damage. Right, she doesn't seem to counterattack if I use the bow. Look at this guy. Exit. It's too random, unfortunately. You've got lots of layers of randomness. You've got the randomness of drawing the cards. You've got the randomness of the damage amounts. It feels really like it's someone just testing whether they can implement certain things, rather than really trying to come up with a set of compelling game mechanics. Because, like, I always think if you're making a card game, it's better to prototype it as a card game. Or use something like Tabletop Simulator, because I feel like the most of the work involved in this project was just getting it to work on a technical level, but the design is really just, what am I thinking about as a player? What am I thinking about or trying to work out? Okay, let me just restart so that we've got all our resources back. Yeah, I'm just going to be repeating myself, so let's move on. Not enough to think about in that game. This looks great. It doesn't have a web version. Maybe there is a... Let me just see that there's not a secret playtesting link on my spreadsheet for this, which there might be. Sometimes there is. Oh, it's a Playdate game. I can't play a Playdate game on a stream. Thank you for submitting it. It looks lovely, but I can't play a Playdate game, so I'm just going to take that off the spreadsheet. Soul Essence. That's a downloadable. We've played Max Speed Intercept. Played that one before. I think this person joined the Discord and then we played it on that stream, so going to take that off the list as well. Electric Fungus. The game is under development, but hopefully reached a point where there are enough dynamics and content to offer engaging play experience. An RTS game that mixes resource management, battles, and managing a dynamic power grid. Take control of an electric fungus, growing and expanding on a living body. We've had lots of fungus-themed games recently. I think maybe it's because my game has so much fungus in. Everyone's like, send that guy your game. He's the fungus guy. He loves a bit of fungus. But as I'm not taking requests, I've got a spreadsheet here. I'll work through it at my own pace, so please don't tell me which games to play on this stream. Thank you. Left click on a movable unit. Right click on a visible ground to move it there. Collectors collect automatically. Connectors deploy on unblocked ground. Turrets can be deployed only by connecting to a powered connector or tower. Okay, let's see how we go. Turzom, I do pre-check the links usually, yes, but we're doing a different kind of stream today. Normally I only look at 2 or 3 games in a stream. We're doing something different today to try and get through a big chunk of the ones that have got web builds. I like the design of this. Yeah, I've had Shroom and Gloom on my sort of to play list for a while. That's got a really neat aesthetic, that game. I think making games with like 2 colors is a really good way to start, although sometimes it can make them a little bit hard to read. Right, let's go back to the site. Create a unit and building through the build panel. Show or hide the build panel by clicking the plus button. Okay. That. Here we go. This is a really cool aesthetic. It kind of looks like a sort of psychedelic cruelty squad type thing, but as an RTS. Collector, turret, connector, tower. Okay, I don't think I can send these over to collect the copper because I need the copper to build more collectors. We need copper and iron. Right, stop digging calcium. This is cool. This is really thematically cool. So we've got like a piece of a body. They can mine calcium from these bone spikes. We've got iron and copper. Doesn't make a great deal of sense, but it's cool. Don't know what this guy does. Oh, the drone is literally my camera, so I don't have a way of like moving the entire camera around without moving this unit, which is also a very neat idea. We can build like a little tube of connectors. Doing some mini Factorio over here. Copper, we need some copper. I mean, I'm guessing I just need to try and build at least one of all of these things. So let's assume, what is a turret and a tower? I guess a turret is a smaller version of a tower, maybe? So, but we can't build a turret because we don't have any gold. I don't have any clear way of getting any gold. So tower is probably better for now. So let's get these guys. Let's get some. Let's mine some bones. Why's this one gone sleepy? Oh, maybe a tower does expand the map. I think you might be right there. We've got like a. We got some sort of Zerg thing going on. It's like with the Zergs and the Terrans at the same time. Let's just zoom back out to the... Right, connectors are like power blocks. Turrets can be deployed. They need to be connected to the power. Towers clear a radius of static. Yeah, exactly what you said. So we need to expand the grid with the towers. So we want to put them as far away as possible on the outside. I really, really like the idea of you only being able to move the camera around with this unit. I think that's a really neat way for managing a sort of smaller RTS. Why won't this one This guy is not letting me not letting me re-target anything with this guy. He's broken. I think his AI is broken, which is annoying because I'm liking this so far. The set of mechanics seem quite compelling. The setting and art is very weird, but it has its own appeal. Yeah, Electric Fungus does sound like a band name. Let's get 2 more of these bad boys out. We're going to collect so much stuff. Yes, coherent. That's right. It is coherent. But yeah, I think we've got some slight AI problem with this guy. He seems to be stuck and he's not doing anything. And I don't know if he's blocking that for anyone else to collect from it as well, which is annoying. Right, the tower. To build the tower, we need lots of calcium. We've got enough copper. We're going to run out of calcium soon, though. They have quite an inconsistent... sometimes when you command them, they do that highlight on the object you click, and sometimes they don't. It's a little bit inconsistent there. Right, we're going to build these connectors all the way out. You know what would be interesting is if the connectors block the pathing as well. It's not building, it's not letting me build any more. Definitely going to need some more varied music. One second. Sorry about that. I just saw the trash collectors outside and I hadn't put my stuff out. Luckily these guys carried on working. Right, does the tower need to be powered? Let's see. Is it just the turrets that need to be powered? I think maybe they need to be powered as well. It is rubbish over there, but I tend to Americanize myself when I'm talking to a global audience, because I know there are lots of people who are not just Americans, but people from other cultures that learn American English more than English, so... I will occasionally call a spaghetti a noodle or whatever. If it helps Americans and people who speak Americanese to understand. I really like this. I want to keep playing it. I'm not going to because we've got a lot of games to get through. And also, I've encountered 2 bugs, I think. One is that these guys get stuck and they stop doing their job. And the other one is that we seem to not be able to build any more connectors. And I can't work out why that's happening. But that means I can't connect anything to the power grid, which is a shame. I think this is really neat. I think you should keep on working with it. If you're still making this, I think this is a very sort of aesthetically appealing little world you've built here. I don't know how you would make a big version of this that had enough variety to account for all of these things, but some of that might have to do with what's under this grid as you clear it, you know, like different levels where there are different kinds of craters or acid or something out there that you can't build on, and different kind of difficulties. Yeah, Paw Patrol has a English dub and an American English dub. I think it's because there's a lot of, it's particularly like British middle class parents that don't like their kids watching American things because they put on American accents afterwards. So if they can afford to do a separate English dub, then they'll do it. Otherwise, certain mummies and daddies won't let little Tarquin watch Paw Patrol. Bloody Valley. Always be ready to take in more damage. That's my motto in life. Always be ready to think for the long term. Always be ready to fight even stronger enemies. But most of all, always be ready to bleed. I mean, this is mostly what happens in all games, right? But this person knows how to write marketing copy, I'll give them that. This is a turn-based roguelite that encourages finding synergies between items, potions, and attacks, even the many encounters. Okay, you're constantly taking bleed damage at the end of every turn. It's up to you to find a way to use that bleeding to your advantage. Interesting. So we're basically doing a whole game as the flagellant from Darkest Dungeon. I think that's what's going on here. Your journey begins with 3 offers. Choose one. This kind of looks funny, blown up this big. I almost need to pull my head back to see the pixel art properly. 2 bleed, 2 mana, start with a mana and a random potion. Max HP, start with dollars, start with 3 random potions. So he can be the ammo guy, the potion guy, or the... I just feel like starting off with more max HP is the good noob. So there's a lot of jank here in terms of like pixel sizes and stuff, but this is quite charming. I find the set of monsters and the character we've got here immediately kind of charming and appealing. Turn 1, floor 1, here's some potions. We've got a money potion. We've got a... When used on an enemy, deals your gold as damage. If this enemy dies, gain 10 gold. Okay, that's interesting. Blood medicine, when you use, heal for 2 times your bleed. And protection juice. When used, this stops every active ability this turn. This will not affect damage reduction passives like Wolf and Wisp. Okay. Do I need to do that, or do I just click on you? The wolf will block 1 damage. The mage gained. Oh, I just used all of my stuff up. There doesn't seem to be a limit to how many actions you can take on a turn. Just whether you've got bullets or ammo. How much money have I got? Okay, I can use that on either of these guys. See, this would just... We could make this like 4 times smaller and it would have a better effect, because I don't know if people are often deving on small laptops or something. As soon as you're playing a game like this on a big screen and you're like a foot away from it, it's like I can't see what the thing is because it's so big. Deals 5 damage to every enemy. Yeah, I want that. Okay, so we bought some new abilities, and they use our mana and our bullets. So I'll use this one first, because might as well use that when there's lots of enemies lined up. That costs 2 bullets, though. Okay, got it. Oh, that's a healing ability. So it's kind of like we've got 2 different energy resources. We've got bullets and mana, and we always start with 4 of each at the start of the... Or at least with this guy, we start with 4 of each. Yeah, I would say I'm about a foot away from the screen. I'm at a desk, so the screen is maybe a foot and a half, you know? 18 inches away from my face. It's not a massive screen, it's like a... I don't know. I don't know screen sizes. I buy a new computer like once every 8 years, and then anything to do with technical specifications goes out of my head in that gap. You meet a meat man who has spare meat to offer. I can help him out with some work for extra dollars. I can get some extra HP. I'm going to get the extra HP and the extra bleed. There's some good decision points in this game already. So thinking back to the last card game, didn't really feel like I was making any decisions. There's lots of jank here. There's lots of things about the art that could probably be improved just by shrinking some things down and allowing them to be small and cute rather than big and obnoxious and taking up too much of the screen. But and like some of the positioning of like important information, like the top left, maybe not a great place for all of this stuff. You know, bring it into the center a little bit more so we can see it. Everything can just go whoosh in a little bit. There's lots of things I would improve about the UI and UX of this game, but it's already giving me interesting decision points. This person sort of understands what you're trying to do when you create this type of game, which is give the player trade-offs and things to think about. And I think it will get more interesting the more abilities I have, because at the moment I'm mainly just picking between... Because I can always... I only have one thing to spend my mana on, so I can always just cast 2 of that every turn. But my bullet usage is kind of split between which of these 2 things do I do. So if I get a second mana ability, the set of decisions I get to make is going to be more interesting. Okay, 1 use per fight, 1 mana ability. Costs 2 mana, deals damage based on times used this fight. So the more times I don't heal, the more damage that does. Costs 4 mana, deals damage based on half of your bleed. That sounds fun. Let's go with that. I'm gonna be a vampire gunslinger. Where's my bleed? That's 15. Okay, so... I'm generally going to be using this when I've got higher health, because otherwise I need to use the heal ability. Dead. I hate it when a wolf shows up and threatens me with a lightning ball. Always happens. Two bullets, 6 damage. If you have a minimum of $30, it costs 1 bullet. Well, I do... That's interesting. What's this? Oh, I don't know what these are. Are these potions? Okay, I'm gonna... I don't know what I just bought. Toxic pot. When you kill an enemy, you have a... Is that what I bought? But it's not here. Huh. I would say if I had one main piece of feedback for the developer here, it's to learn about eye travel and where to put things on the screen, because you don't always need to, when you open up a new menu, you don't need it to take up the whole screen. You usually need it to take up like the middle third or the middle 2/3, so that the amount of kind of space the eye is kind of traveling doesn't need to be that big. And likewise with everything else in the game, we could probably push it all to the middle and then use the edge of the screen for things that don't matter and that we're not looking at that often, because we're kind of trained to think that most of the relevant stuff in the game is in the middle. So like this guy, he should probably be like here, and this guy should be here, and then all the gameplay relevant information in the L round here rather than right around the edge. But I think the developer definitely has some creative chops with the sort of just general direction of this, and I also really like the decisions that it's giving us in terms of like the item and ability builds. It's a little bit confusing, but some of that is because of the UX and the menus. Except Fate. Dying. That's neat. I like that. What was that one called? Bloody Valley. Just mark it off on the other. Too many different browser things. Right, so the last one we saw, Deep Drawgen was the first one. Then we had Electric Fungus. This one was Bloody Valley. Really liked Electric Fungus, got stuck because of a technical hitch. I like Bloody Valley. There's some kind of, I think the areas for improvement there are mostly to do with UI layouts. Runan Ritual. Metroidvania. Just get the other spreadsheet back open. Final version is not intended to be web. I mean, I would rather play the web version for now. Otherwise, we're not going to play this today. Fluid platforming, traverse haunting landscapes with tight responsive controls. Maya is the essence dropped by defeated Runan to swap sigils and customize your abilities at mystical campfires. Arrow keys, jump space. I really, really dislike when platforms do not have gamepad controls. It just feels deeply perverse to me to play a platformer on a keyboard. Right, we're doing arrow keys, space, interact with E, attack with K. Okay, so I have to do WASD because I can't... Well, I guess I can attack K, Q, heal, parry C. Let's see how we go on. Inisar. Yes, I will play a Nuevo Juego. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep. Did I not play PC platforms back in the day? What, like Jazz Jackrabbit and Duke Nukem? All of those terrible things. I'm Amiga generation, so we tended to have like a little joystick with 2 buttons on it. For a lot of those things. I definitely played a lot of... I think by the time I was playing a lot of like SNES games on an emulator on a PC, I wasn't really playing platformers anymore. I was playing things like Harvest Moon and stuff, so... Okay. Why am I clicking? I was like pressing all of the buttons that you'd said were to advance. Okay, attack is advance. Okay, I can't read any of the text, unfortunately. This is okay. Immediate reaction, aesthetically interesting. The camera is a little bit seasicky. So we attack with K. Sound design seems pretty good. Something's broken immediately there. I don't think the curved screen effect is doing much for me because it just makes it feel a bit weird, particularly when you're going up and down. And I also... I'll get into the visual design stuff in a minute. Let's just kind of play through the first bit. It feels good. The jumping and attacking feels good. The impact when we're breaking down those walls feels pretty decent. A lot of that is because you've just got a lot of bass in that sound effect and everything. Is that something I should interact with? It looks like it is, but it's not. Okay, do I need to deliberately interact with that, or is it... We've got a campfire. Music's lovely. The streams are not always going to be 3 hours now. I'm just doing a longer one today because I thought we'd do a little challenge of how many of these can we get through. I thought we'd get through more in... Jump, space, interact, attack. So it's telling me to dash by pressing up. Oh no, that's shift. Okay. Gonna have to play it like this because it seems to not get stuck when we have it in a window. There's some good level design here in terms of just like gradually teaching you how the things work. Feels quite well paced in terms of what order they're showing us things in. And I like that kind of white outline that you've got around the collidable stuff to make sure it's very clear what is the... Oh. That we don't have a very clear sense of when the character is getting hurt. You know, I think if your character getting hurt is just the life bar going down, then yeah, I get it's an early prototype thing, but oh, that gives us the dash ability. Okay, so that text there shouldn't appear until we pick that up, right? Because it's telling me to dash, right? That's a call to action. That's a verb. Dash, do this, and I can't do it until I've touched that. That's not sort of totally clear. Pick the dash up again, go back over this way. Yeah, I don't think our signaling when our player character is hurt is clear enough. You want it to actually, you want the player to feel it, you know? That's why we do little moments of stun lock and stuff. I generally feel like the impact when the player does something is quite good, but the impact when the world is doing something to the player is not great. Okay, this is a shrine of some sort. I can't read the Spanish, so I'm all for playing people's games that they send me, but it's also very difficult for me to engage with the tutorial of your game if it's not in English. Being as I am a not very cultured person that only speaks one language, unfortunately. Nice gradual increase of the tests of the jumping and dashing ability. Very, very well structured Metroidvania kind of teaching stuff going on here. I think that is probably the biggest strength of this game. The developer really understands what they're doing in terms of that stuff. The thing that I really, really dislike, and I see this a lot in action games, is developers try and create a tutorial where they just tell you how to do something, you do it, and then you immediately move on to the next thing. And you've forgotten how to do the last thing you learned in a couple of minutes time because you haven't done it more than once, right? So you need to teach the thing and then reteach it through, like, not just like making the player drill the thing 10 times in a row, but giving different permutations of it, which is what you're seeing here with the dash. It's what we're getting we're getting it tested in different ways, in different sort of situations, which is good. It's a good way of making sure the player knows how to do the thing. Right, how do I get up either of them? Yeah, the floppy disk is a save icon. I think you're right about it being an outdated icon, but I think if someone is playing a very retro themed game like this, they're less likely to have that issue. You know, I absolutely wouldn't make a sort of brain rot friend slop game aimed at Gen A and put a floppy disk in it. I think if you're making a pixel art platformer, you're okay to put a floppy disk in your game. That would be the distinction I would make there. Maybe there's some ability that I don't know how to use that I can't use here. Yeah, I mean we've had hardly any tutorial here. We've just had the game tell us what the control is and then give us situations where we need to use it. And there's like there's stuff like this as well. Oh, if we... Just testing whether you can... I don't think you can dash jump. So, I thought... So you can jump and then dash, and I thought maybe if I hadn't jumped and I dashed, then I might be able to jump, but I don't seem to be able to do that. So, I'm not sure how we get past the next bit. Well, we can go up there, though. Let's try and get up there. Maybe that was deliberate. Maybe that was just like a way that didn't have anything in it. I think in the full, if you continue working on this in the full version as well, think about that XP bar going up. Try and make it gradual. Do stuff to make that a bit more satisfying if it's supposed to be like the main collection point in the game for like XP or whatever your thing is called in this. Oh. Oh yeah, people are definitely used to the floppy disk icon being used that way, even if they've never used a floppy disk, right? I mean, who has used floppy disks in the last 20 years? I don't know. No one. Hi, do you want to save 2 megabytes worth of stuff in a format that no one else will be able to use? So yeah, let's talk about legibility, because I think there's one major problem with legibility in this game. There's one minor one, and I think everything is kind of tending towards the same level of brightness in the grey. But you've also got, I can't, Is there a way I can defocus this so that my pointer shows? So basically, the walls and the white outline around them are really good, but then you're still using that same bright level of white in the background bits of broken decor, right? So this bit that I'm standing in front of now is not gameplay important in any way, shape, or form. So what I would do is take out the top 2 levels of brightness that are on these bits of brick in the background. So they shouldn't have that brighter white in them, because that's creating too much internal contrast, and it's pushing them forward visually. It's making them look more important than they are, and it's then detracting from all the stuff you've done around the rest of the level to make like the edges of these walls stand out, right? This is a really common one. I see this in platformers, but I see it in all sorts of games where you just haven't like... So you've made some very good decisions in terms of the overall visual design to make the game legible, and then you've hidden some of those things with these other art decisions. And yeah, I think just reducing the contrast of these broken wall sections in the background will go a long way to making the whole game a little bit more readable, because then you can use the harsh white and the darker black of the ninja in other places. L and air. I know how to do that. We've done that already. I would say that's the biggest legibility problem. It's a cool setting. I like the kind of the weird post-apocalyptic stuff we've got going on with the buildings in the background. It's very evocative. But yeah, I don't think it's just that everything is grey is the problem. It's that we're doing inconsistent things with contrast. So I would just eliminate all of the bright white from the background walls, so that the bright white only exists in the layer that the player is on, can have bright white in it to highlight when something is solid, or to highlight when something is an important item, and then you don't put any of that bright white in the level behind. You only go up to like a sort of high medium grey. Yeah, the squint test is the one. Right, that was Runan Ritual. Sorry if I misunderstood anything in that game, but I cannot read Espanol. Kalango doesn't have a web build. We're basically, if you've just joined late, normally what I do on these streams is I have a few games planned that have a theme, but what we're doing today is we are going through the backlog. And I've highlighted everything with an itch link in, and we are just trying to get through as many of the itch games with web builds as we can. A lot of them don't have web builds, which is fine. I mean, my itch game doesn't have a web build, but if we can get through a lot of them, then we'll have cleared a big chunk of the backlog. And there is a big old backlog. This one has a password. That's a download. Yeah, I went to a school where we had to do French and German, and I dropped French at like 14 and carried on doing German, but I still can't speak German. Moonbeams and Mines, that doesn't have a web build. So I'm just going through and marking off the ones that we've seen. RPG Maker game, haven't had one of them in a while. Push-n-Tumble. Okay, what is Push-n-Tumble? I like the push-fall mechanic of my previous game, Corner Connect, so I wanted to use that in a Puyo Puyo clone, but seeing it in action now, there's something missing. The blocks aren't falling like in Tetris, so there isn't any sense of urgency for the player. Any idea how to fix this? Oh, this is Baz. Okay, Baz made... Oh no, maybe I'm thinking of someone else. Action puzzle game, like an upside down Puyo Puyo. I can't even remember how Puyo Puyo works, so I'm not going to be the best person for that, but maybe that's a good thing in a way. Do you want to see how to play the game? Yes. Speedcrack, do I notify the developers? Sometimes. Sometimes. Basically, this channel is incredibly... there's a lot of stuff that is incredibly work intensive, and how much of it gets done in the way you'd expect just depends on how busy everything is that month. When I was first starting, I informed everyone of everything. Now I mainly just try and make sure that the titles of the game are in the description after the stream, so that if people search for it, they'll find it. Rotate and insert discs. Form groups of 4 more of the same color. Cursor or WAS to move, down to rotate, up to insert. Okay, to do, add a real tutorial. Oh, I see. Yeah, I see. I like the piece designs. Finding the angle frustrating, and I'm not sure why. Uh-oh. 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 Yeah, there's an annoying set of moves towards the end there where you know that you failed, but you have to fill the board in order to fail. I don't like that. I mean, the dev said the issue is that there's no sense of urgency. I feel like trying it with a time limit per move would be worth doing. Just like you have like a little countdown, and if you don't put the piece in, it just puts itself in, you know? The angle bothers me slightly in a way that I can't quite put into words, which is annoying because that's my job. I think I just fundamentally don't like it when we use the cardinal directions to relate to on-screen diagonals. Really bothers me. I grew up with a lot of games where they used cardinal directions on controller for an isometric grid, and it's always bothered me, and it still bothers me, and I think there's a reason why we don't do it that often. It's kind of fun though. But yeah, I would say if the main thing you're feeling is a lack of urgency, then I feel like time is such an obvious one to try for that kind of problem in a game like this. But I also think that you're starting us off with too many different colors. I think in a color matching game, you get quite a good... I was talking about this last week, we had one of these on, and I was talking about how you get like a... You get quite a lot of value out of adding a color in like any of these games. It was the same in Zuma as well, which is like more of a aiming aiming bubbles type game. If you start off with 4 colours, the point at which you add the 5th colour feels like a massive step up in difficulty. But we've started off with like quite a lot of colours here. And that means that we don't get that point where it's like, oh no, a 4th colour has entered the chat. A 5th colour has hit the towers. So yeah, I'm not going to have much else to say on this one. Also, the music is going to drive me mad in a moment. But I feel myself playing it quite quickly, even though I don't need to, which is interesting. I think that might be a function of the music being quite lively. But yeah, if you want more urgency, just have a countdown. Have like a 3 pulse on each thing, and if you don't put it down in time, it just puts it wherever it wants to. And then I would also limit the amount of colours that you're starting with at the beginning of the game and gradually increase it, because I don't know, I think this feels a bit overwhelming for the beginning of the game. I would let the player get into the swing of it and then do a switcheroo on them with the colours after they've got comfortable with it. It kind of feels like weirdly too easy in one way, like the lack of time limit or anything, but then the amount of colours that are on the grid is too hard at the start, I think. Right. What's going on here? That was Push-n-Tumble. Thank you, Push-n-Tumble. Auto Deep Dungeon. I currently only have the first 9 floors implemented. Okay. Thank you, Eric. Let's check this out. What's going on here? Deep Dungeon and Deep Drawgen. I recommend trying the... Okay, you've submitted the same game twice. This is the game that we saw earlier. It's the same game as Deep Drawgen. It's an auto battler. Click on a... Yeah, I mean, you submitted the same game twice with different art. I'm not gonna check that one out twice. Okay. Neon's 9 Lives. That has got a web build. Toe City. That doesn't have a web build. No web build there. Look, I'm not saying you should have a web build, folks, because sometimes it's just not practical. But there are lots of situations where it will get your game looked at quicker. Not necessarily just by me, but by people in general. Lots of people don't like downloading stuff. I download stuff because I need to for work for this. But there are situations like this where if you've got a web build, you will go to the front of the queue. Here we go. We've got a few more. Right, so Sector Terra, in the distant future of 1995, love it. The world has been reduced to an irradiated wasteland. Doesn't let us have the game open and the explainer at the same time. Downloading a zip is scary, yeah. Let's see how self-explanatory this game is. I can't get the explainer open at the same time as the demo. I will never play a game that you submit during the stream. Not going to happen. I know other game dev YouTubers do that, but that's because this isn't the main thing that they do. This is the main thing that this channel is about. So I'm not going to put other people further back in the queue because someone was in the chat and asked nicely or whatever. Look at those little guys. Submitting the same game with a reskin is eyebrow raising. It is, particularly when the first one wasn't much of a game. And I don't mean that to be rude, I just mean that I wasn't doing anything as a player. It was the one with the 2 decks of cards. It's like, you draw from 2 decks. So it's not exciting, it's just a choice between 2 things that are completely opaque and I have no information on how to make the choice. Okay. We're doing a mini tactics RTS type thing. Lovely.
All done. Yeah. On my way. On it.
This feels okay.
All done.
I can't. Oh no, I can scroll around. So I can scroll around with the arrows, but not WASD, which feels very weird because you're kind of putting my hands very close together that way. The reason why we have WASD is for keyboard and mouse games, so that your hands are like this and all of the other keys are between your hands. That's like the ergonomic reason for it. So it's always very strange to me when someone uses WASD in a game with no mouse, or someone uses mouse and arrow keys, because that puts your hands like really close together. Your units can throw grenades with Q to destroy debris. Okay.
Yeah.
They will.
On it.
Yeah, this is like
All done.
Command and Conquer with Syndicate style graphics, right? Because Syndicate was much more kind of traditional pixel art, wasn't it? Rather than the Command and Conquer style art.
What's up?
I can drag select them. It's got all of the little things I would expect from RTS controls.
On my way. On it.
Feels great. Sound design is really nice. Cute building. Gonna get really nitpicky here. I'm not a fan of this outline around this pixel art font. I don't think it makes it more legible.
On my way.
I think you're better off just dropping that and making this a brighter color. But aesthetically, I love all this. Look at this lovely field.
Okay. On my way.
Oh yeah, no, you do have screen drag. Middle mouse.
On it.
That is easier, actually, than... It's definitely easier than using the keys and being in a weird... Using the arrow keys and the mouse puts you into like a kung fu tiger stance, which
All done.
not nice when you're using a computer.
On my way.
Uh-oh.
On it. Okay. On my way.
I don't know, the last 4X I played, I'm pretty sure it had WASD camera. But that wasn't Civ, so I can't speak for Civ.
On it.
Stop, attack, patrol. You've got the proper patrol controls as well. Yeah.
On my way.
This is great.
On it.
It's doing all the things I would expect
Okay.
one of these to do.
On it.
It's very cute. Although now
All done.
I've only got
On it.
one character left and they've got so little health that I don't know if I can get through the level.
On my way. Okay.
Uh-oh.
On my way.
Spiders.
On it.
No spiders, please.
Okay. All done. On my way.
I always used WASD for Dota. I mean, I remember it was WASD and then you would use QERT for the abilities because they were around the WASD, right? Ah, here we go. Are these resources? How do I build? It's time. It's time to extract. I mean, I haven't played Dota in a few years, but yeah, I mean, That was the default mapping last time I remember playing it. But I played Dota 1 when it was a Warcraft map, and I probably played Dota 1 more than I've played Dota 2, so I'm not the right person to ask. I don't know what there is to get about them. It's a tug of war. What's it? Legally distinct. I think it's actually plants. I don't know if it is Tiberium. I think it looks like plants. Oh no, it's digging stuff out of the ground. You're right. Barracks. I'm gonna go and build my barracks. Can I build my barracks out here? Yeah, I can. Nice spread out base, I think. Let's get another engineer.
Everything's in order.
Maybe I'm misremembering the Dota thing, but I don't know. It's been a very, very long time.
Let's proceed. Okay. Transmit.
Put these guys here with auto repair on.
Destination. We have your visual.
Oh, can you do... We are glad to see you are capable of managing a base, Commander. Maztec has their base to the northeast. You'll need to build up a considerable force to break them. Your targets are their satellite centers. With them destroyed, the Maztec troopers will have no way of contacting their HQ. Your targets are their satellite centers. With them destroyed, the Maztec troopers... Blah, 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 blah. Right.
Okay.
We're gonna make a...
Let's go. On my way.
What's up? On it. Yeah. You got it. On it.
Ready. All right.
Ready.
We're doing a proper patrols here.
On my way.
We have your visual.
In case anything needs fixing or anything.
We have your visual. All right.
See, I think the mark of a good strategy game is whether or not you can play it like an idiot.
What's up? Yeah. Ready.
Oh. I was just trying to work out if I could do control... No, control groups don't work. But maybe that's because it's a web build.
You got it.
So, the quintessential, or not quintessential, but a very, very helpful thing in these games was always having control 1, control 2 to set command groups so that you can recall a specific group of troops.
Let's go. Let's go. What's up?
They have like different voices mapped to each character, which is very cute.
On my way. Let's go. What's up? You got it. Let's go. Got it.
Yeah, I think there's a whole space for sort of campaign story-driven RTS games. So it's such a big, like a strong association with them being esports that I think we could probably, if we totally ignore that element and just like make ones that work very well for single player, there's a whole design space there that needs some love. Oh, that's brutal. I need some medics. I think I'm going to build a second barracks further in. What else can we build? I can build a we can build a field hospital. Okay, what we're going to do, we're going to build a new satellite center over here. Where's my other engineer?
Let's proceed.
And then we're going to build a field hospital.
Let's go. Okay.
They don't seem to be actively attacking me, although that's fine for now. Yeah, I think giving them all their own little voice is... I mean, there's a UX value to having a specific voice for each class, but if you're making like a micro version of one of these where you can't necessarily afford to make like 30 different units, then going down the sort of almost XCOM route of having them all be a person is neat.
What's up? Ready. Okay.
Everything's in order.
Right, so now we're going to build another barracks that's further out, so we don't have to take our troops so far. And can we set the spawn point of these? It'd be really good to be able to set where they go to, so I could set them to go to that road there.
What's up? On it.
But this place is going to do that anyway, so it doesn't matter so much. Right. Queue as many guys as we can over there. And over here. Right, we're out of creds now. This game is called... What was the game called? Oh, hang on. I will check it out in a minute. This is pretty great.
Got it. On my way. Let's go. Yeah. Ready. Transmit destination. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go.
What's up?
I actually really like doing the micro of trying to heal the units rather than lose them.
Let's go. Okay. Got it. On my way. Got it.
On it.
Dang.
Okay. Ready. What's up? On it. Ready. Got it. Yeah. What's up?
Let's go.
I wish I'd built my field hospital further out.
Ready. On it.
Let's go.
Ready. What's up?
Let's go.
Yeah. On it. All done.
Well, if I don't attack fast enough, they're going to just keep building back up again, aren't they? Right, you can map click as well to send them directly to a place. That's quite good.
On my way.
It's really challenging though. Really challenging. So I'm gonna move on. I could play this for hours. That's Sector Terra. I will, again, if you're watching the VOD, I will put links to all of the ones that I can. So I don't have a great deal of feedback on this in terms of like critical stuff. It just plays really nice. Someone in the chat said, I've played a bunch of RTS single-player campaigns, and I noticed enemies just kind of like to sit around while I slowly chip away at the level. Yeah, I mean, I remember hearing an interview with the guy that runs Clay. What's his name? Clay. It's Jamie something. Jamie Cheng. And before he made Mark of the Ninja and started Clay, he was like a AI programmer for one of the Total War games, and he was saying that what they used to do with those games was they spent ages trying to make like a rich AI that, you know, responds to you, and actually what it ended up being better to do was just to have the AI pre-programmed with a strategy that a player would do, like pick from these 4 strategies a player would do and just go ahead and do it. So I guess the AI in a RTS, often it's going to be, it just builds its base, and then after 12 minutes it sends this thing, and then after 24 minutes it sends this thing, or whatever, like some schedule that is semi-randomized at the beginning to say this is how the enemy is going to behave this time. So you can't always guess what it's going to do, and it does behave like another player, but you don't necessarily need to go down the route of it like responds to every little thing you do, because it just kind of goes through phases of building up and defending, and then it goes, and then it will do a push, and then it builds up and defends, and then it will do a push. It would be interesting to see how they deal with the kind of issue of variety of like, what are our different levels going to be? You've already got the terrain here which would give you enough kind of puzzles of like how to do combat on different levels. Like I could imagine having some levels with really extreme choke points where there are like long bridges over water could be quite interesting, for example. But a lot of it also will come down to like what's the build variety once we get all of the tech tree out. Because here we've only really got the field hospital, the barracks. There's nothing I can do to unlock new units, so it's going to be hard to judge a game like this until you're at the stage where you can actually build different things each time, you know?
All done.
Right, let's move on. Lost in Desolation. Challenge yourself and navigate a fragile bubble through an obstacle course, only using the forces of wind. That sounds very frustrating. Global Game Jam 2025 themed on bubbles. A game about being very careful with a bubble. I would say, yeah, if you're the main feedback you're getting is, I want more, then that's a good sign. So we're here, we're going, I want rally points from my barracks, I want a tank. It's like, nothing fundamentally broken with the game, very appealing, art was cute, lots of good stuff going for it there. Lost in Desolation, a game about being a bubble. What am I steering with? Steer carefully, reach the safe zone. This is your bubble, keep it afloat. If it touches the ground, it pops. Yes? Okay. I don't appreciate being given a time limit and then everything. Ah, there's my bubble. I see. The problem is you've said this is your bubble or above a picture of the bubble, and that is moving, and that's drawing my attention away from the actual bubble, right? So this is my actual bubble. The arrow is pointing here. So there's a little lesson here in terms of information hierarchy, which is a concept in graphic design of basically like which thing draws your eye the most, and movement in a you know, anything visual that it has movement in it, movement is the top of the visual hierarchy. So this is going to draw my attention, this is going to draw my attention, and so having an arrow that's pointing to the bubble, it's like when it says this is your bubble, I look here, I'm looking in here, I'm looking at this, and then I don't even see the arrow because I'm looking at the movement and the text above the movement. So it took me a while there to work out what was going on this screen. That's a fun interaction. I like that. We steer to the safe zone. It's kind of like those old like retro lander games where you steer a little spaceship but using the directionality of clicking the mouse to sort of make a draft of wind. So the power is based on how long you click for. I feel like using the relative distance of the mouse could be interesting as well. Oh. Neat game. It's got a kind of same sort of appeal as something like Desert Golf or whatever. Going to be quite tiring though, because once you start a run from one start point to the next safe zone, you're sort of constantly clicking and on your toes. We've got a similar problem to what we had with that previous black and white platformer, where the level of contrast in that background, they've done the what's it called, the sort of fog shading, still quite high contrast. The darker shapes in the background catch quite a lot of, they make the background feel a bit visually noisy, and that music loop as well. Like, I get this is a jam game, but if you're making a game that people play for more than 3 minutes, please pick a song that please pick a song that is like 3 or 4 minutes long and has variation in it, rather than like a 30-second loop. Because I think this music is quite a good choice from a sort of creative direction point of view, but it's just the same thing and then it stops and then there's a gap in the loop. It's really jarring. These are small creative things, but I mean, with a game like this, it's very hard to comment on the actual game design rather than the creative stuff, because the game design is all kind of already fixed. Like, I wouldn't want to sit here and give loads of ideas. Or you could bump the balloon, the bubble into things and pick them up, because it's kind of a minimalist game and it doesn't need more stuff. I do think playing around with making the relative distance of the mouse to the bubble could be interesting. Could be interesting, because at the moment you can kind of charge to speed it up, but it also feels like it might be logical for like doing it really close to make it slightly more powerful as well, so you've got another thing to judge. Because I mean, it's the same sort of set of design levers as you have in a driving game, right? You're learning how to handle the feel of a vehicle, right? So the set of skills that are being tested here is like, how in tune can you get with this set of controls? So the more little nuance you have in the controls, well, at the moment the only axis of the controls is like there's two. There's the directionality and how long have you held it down. If we have directionality, how long have you held it down, and also how close are you to the bubble, then you've got a lot more for people to master. The more kind of axes there are in how the controls handle in a racing game or a kind of character handling game, the more there is to learn and the higher you make the skill ceiling of the game. But yeah, that's all I have to say about that one. I sort of wonder what people... Let me just see if there was a message with that one, because I always wonder what people want out of sending a game like that in. Navigate a fragile bubble through an obstacle course using only the mouse. Hard game physics-based. Art and sound are still in progress. So yeah, I think they just wanted it shown. But sometimes I get a little message that says, help me think of this, right? Because it's a sort of workshop type stream, but that one I never know what to feed back on a very small kind of micro game like that, because I can't see a version of that people pay money for a deluxe version of, even if you make it really polished. But I may just not be the audience. These type of like very fiddly, it feels like a web portal game that you would put on a web portal, and those still exist, and as far as I'm aware you can still make some sort of passive money from them, but it doesn't feel like an indie game per se. Neon's 9 Lives. This game was originally a game jam me and my wife started, but took a liking to it and decided to complete it. Cute character sprites. A cat named Neon must prove itself worthy of 9 lives by surviving 9 dangerous trials in the underworld. Okay. There are 3 bosses in the game. Uh-oh. Show me the tutorial. Use WASD. Okay. Space is dash. Use mouse to aim, bush to shoot. Really nice yellow for the impact there. Nice clear way of signaling what's going on. That's a checkpoint. Press E on you. Little chunk. Hey kid, have you seen El Gato? No? Well, my name's Lil Chunk. I think you don't need to have a whole line of text saying my name's Lil Chunk if you have a bit that tells you their name up there. One click seems to skip through loads of dialogue as well. So watch out for whatever's going on there. Other animals hurt you. Wall balls are optional objectives. Some enemies can't be killed. Well, the people who play web portal games are mostly like kids on school computers. That was always the case before. But there are certain types of games where I look at them and it's the only use case I can think of them, like very, very hyper casual browser games. It's like, well, this isn't really what most people who buy and play indie games would think of as an indie game. I'm not talking about this game now, I'm talking about the previous game we looked at. But that is a thought I frequently have with certain smaller games where it's like, this is a web portal game. Just gonna, every time someone asks how to submit a game on stream, I'm gonna just do this for 5 minutes. So that's... Died in the tutorial, classic. Shooting the enemies doesn't feel as impactful as shooting the fan. think we should have that same yellow flash when we hit the enemies as well. I think the reason why people don't see the text that I put in the corner is because they're watching on mobile or something. I try to make it unobtrusive because I don't want it to irritate people, but then people ask anyway. So I'm just going to, every time someone asks, I'm going to just do this for a couple of minutes. So I've got a checkpoint over here. There doesn't seem to be much reward for destroying enemies or choosing to hang around to destroy more enemies. The enemies are more there to like threaten you, which makes the work of shooting them lots of times not feel worth it, because really you're just trying to get through and get to the next checkpoint. That's cool that that respawns. Now the birds can't keep bothering me. I don't think I can hit that from this side. I think maybe I need to get underneath it. I really don't like bullet hell games. I can just about cope with them when there's like I think there's something about doing like bullet hell is always going to annoy me anyway because it relies so heavily on overwhelm, and it's like literal hell for ADHD people, or maybe not. Maybe there are some people who just love it precisely because of that overwhelmingness. But there's something about combining that with a mouse. Binding of Isaac, that entire game feel of Binding Isaac comes out of the game feel of only being able to shoot in 4 directions. And that's what makes Binding of Isaac feel the way it does. And then like trad bullet hells, you're shooting up in 1 direction. Something about having to dodge all this and then also shoot with a mouse is just... it feels icky to me. So I have to shoot these snakes to clear this area. And then the next area, we've got like a doghouse that's shooting at me and I don't seem to be able to damage it. I think it would make sense to use the yellow flash as like just a consistent way of showing when something is taking damage. Because it looked really good when we did it here. So that's taking damage. Okay, just use that visual language for everything. When something's getting hurt, put a yellow flash on it. And when it's not getting hurt, don't put a yellow flash on it. Because the birds and the snakes both had a different visual language for when you were hitting them. And that's making the game confusing. Like, I can't really work out whether that's doing any damage or not. I don't think it is. But how am I to know? I think this is something I'm supposed to just dodge. Right, one more try. I really like the art. I think there's some generally cool stuff here. I love these little explosions. Lots of visual stuff here. The theme is nice. The gameplay I'm finding frustrating in a way that is just not an enjoyable kind of frustrating because I'm not getting any better at it either. This is also why I didn't play down well. I was like, hey, play a really linear game with some okay writing and then do loads of bullet hell. So no, that's like... That's a two out of 3 bad things to me. I want to shoot awesome rainbow bullets that deal double damage. Yes, I do want to do that. Yeah, the next button in the thing skips through multiple stages of dialogue. There are not really many safe areas in this. It's quite hard to work out when I can stop for a second. I know that's kind of the point, but... Honestly, I don't think we're going to get past this bit now. I'm just too tired to... yeah, lots of interesting stuff there. There will be people that are fans of this. I just felt like it was ramping up too quickly for me to really get into it before it started becoming painfully punishing. Okay. Let's see what else is on the list that's got a web build. That's got a web build. Golden Greed. From Mangoware. It's always really funny when we get web builds and then there's like a massive disclaimer saying, "Warning! This web build sucks! Don't play it! Don't play it! Why would you do that?" So you still made it, you still put it up there. Well, that looks cool, but it doesn't have a web build. Missile thrower, oh, we've seen that one. That is one that we had in the Kingshaven we've had as well. So this is the deal. You join the Patreon, you get a jump to the queue. So a lot of these, we've had a few of these appear in the community streams recently because the devs have since jumped the queue. This channel does not make a great deal of ad revenue, so I do have to rely on Patreon, and one of the benefits of Patreon is you get to jump the queue and get in different types of streams by jumping the queue. If I wanted to make enough money on ad revenue to live off of on a channel about indie games, then every single video I make would have to be about Hollow Knight. How Hollow Knight does jumping 3-hour video essay. How Hollow Knight does picking things up 3-hour video essay. Did you know in Hollow Knight you can do attacks 3-hour video essay? That's what a profitable indie game channel is like. I like Downwell. I like Downwell because it's really focused on one thing, and you also get breaks in Downwell where you can just stand on a little bit. Oh my giggles said, what are your 3 favourite genres to play or diagnose? I don't like genres, I just like good games. I don't believe in genres anymore. They're made up. Genres were invented to sell arguments to nerds. Press down to continue. What's this called? So this is called... Robot Vacuum Cleaner Quest. Excellent. This is... I saw this on someone else's video. It is a game about robot vacuum cleaners. What more could you want? Graphics driver missing, using external feed B128. Movement activated, use arrow keys or directions on gamepad. Okay. No, I do believe in game genres. I like things in most genres of game. I just tend to think there's only so many hours that you get, so I'd rather play like 8 games that were all very good games in their genre than play lots of bad examples of a thing in this genre, you know? Right, I bumped into the RVC manual. This is a manual for a robot vacuum cleaner. On its cover is an image of a device that looks just like you. Scanning the pages, you learn about your power button. You can toggle it on and off using gamepad buttons or spacebar. I already did that. Because I'm a very clever robot. This is a book about creating entities of thought. The foreword notes that whilst based on Tibetan Buddhism and 20th century Theosophism, the term tulpa has taken on new meaning when faced with how machine minds operate. There is a whole section of the book dedicated to machine tulpas, from minds being copied to councils of minds to minds within minds. Within minds within minds. Summary, your mind could create another mind. Wonderful. This part of the wall looks like it was cut out and put back in. It makes a hollow thump noise every time you bump it. Thump. Are you... so we can do... So if I hold down the suction button, I can pull things around, and then we're doing sort of soccer band type block puzzle. The cats and robots episodes of Love, Death and Robots is good as well, I would say. What's this? Start mouse. Welcome, I'm the first mouse you'll see on your cleaning adventure. Many of us fulfill important roles on the Ark. We provide activities for both humans and machines. Okay, we're really doing some sort of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy stuff here. And also... Oh, hang on. This is a book of hints. It's disappointingly light. It has 2 pages, each with the pair of coordinates. 2, 7. C8. Summary, something at 2, 7 and C8. So we're going to have to learn the layout of this. Fake, that's a fake wall. It's not a real fake wall. So something at 2, 7 and C8. How could it be 2, 7 and C8? Huh. There we go. Yeah, I would say the tone of Love, Death and Robots feels very kind of young adult. It's like sort of like a feels like Americans trying to do teenage focused anime, which is like all focused on, well, it's just not much character driven stuff. You think of the amount of character work they do in one episode of Black Mirror, and Love, Death and Robots just doesn't have that. It's not interested in it. I saw the one about the there's a 3D animated one which is about a boy that gets like trapped in some sort of crypto mining game, and his dad is like running around trying to get him a doctor, and he's stuck in the VR machine. That one was quite interesting and moving, and felt like something Philip K. Dick would write if he, you know, was using crayons. But yeah, generally I find them a little bit trite and edgy. They feel like stories that belong in like a 80s sci-fi comic like a 2000 AD or something, but they don't need to be 45 minutes long and that glossy and expensive looking for what they are, you know? Forcing the machine establishment to make a choice. What matters more, their design or their actions? I really wish we weren't playing this on a rushed stream of how many games we can play, because I think there's going to be some really fun writing in this. I get the feeling that the actual hoovering the dust is just like a compulsion activity that might not do anything in the context of the rest of the game. Is this a Metroid? It's a Metroid Brainia, isn't it? Look, we've gone back somewhere, which means it's a Metroidvania, but we're doing it with our brain, so it's a Metroid Brainia. That's how that works. Are you a human? Oh, it's Wallbanger Bront. The secret to knocking walls is staying in place. Interesting. That's why I've been here 5 years. The wall banger continues to bang its wall. Secure wall active. To deactivate secure wall, 1 knock for yes, 2 knocks for no. Input knock knock equals yes, yes. This is great. This is like, you know, we work out the set of interactions the player can do, and then we use the story to do like funny little gags around those interactions. Secure wall deactivated. What's this? Oh, that's my fake wall I pulled out earlier. There was a reason to clean stuff. It makes it say clean. Fake wall decoy. It sounds like a fake wall, but it's clearly a distraction. Use fake walls to stop the RVC exploring. Exposing your RVC to any philosophical or religious media may void your warranty. Summary: you have hazardous intelligence and can drag objects when your power is on. Can I drag a mouse? It's very disappointing I can't drag a mouse. What's that on the wall there? Artist plaque. Summary: this area provides alternate definitions of completion. Yep. That's very funny. Because we got the big thing that goes clean. I need that spec. Actually clean. Wow. Kind of makes you think. I'm not gonna dilly-dally here with the secure wall all day. That's neat. I like that. We've got a few games about robot cleaners. Roomba Quest. That one was, what was it called? That wasn't Roomba Quest. That was Robot Vacuum Cleaner Quest, which is different from Roomba Quest. We're going to check out Old Mate Dave, which I think I played before on a stream, but it's still in the queue here. So I don't think I have played this one. I don't know if Tim's still in the chat, but we're gonna check it out anyway. This is a game where you throw Daves. My understanding is that this is a documentary about life in New Zealand. This is a game about things that happen in New Zealand every day. We're going to try the different modes and try and work out which one is... So this one we're just collecting Daves as they fall. I think might be the best use we've ever seen of this asset pack. And I'm only being half ironic there. Oh, not the bomb. Not the bomb. Don't collect the bomb. That one still has somehow registered as being on the gurney. Ugh. I love the fact that you have to sort of wait for them to settle, or they don't stay properly. I have one more try at that one before we move on. They don't like immediately adhere to the gurney, so you kind of have to wait for them to stop ragdolling, or they won't stay. And then if the next one is coming down quickly, you could kind of move too quickly. Oh, you put them in the ambulance and that clears it. This game really shows you what people in the health service have to put up with every day. The amount of wanton disregard for their own safety shown by the public in Davesville. Yeah, I kind of like the messiness of the pile. It's funnier. Oh. Oh, David, what are you like? Oh, David. You're falling down. Yeah, Dave's just hanging out down there. It's quite a somewhat evocative motion that you're forcing me to do with this gurney here. See, if you had a player on each side of the screen with their own ambulance, but then you could only push the you could only go back out to where the other player was, you could have the most trollish friend slop game out of this. So what I would do, if you wanted to make it a little bit clearer whether they were accepting the next Dave, you could like slam the ambulance doors shut after each one or something. This is not totally clear, that mechanic at first. If I come out and then go back in, yeah. I'll do like a sort of like a blue medical light that goes inside each time each one's processed, so it just gives you a sense that something has happened. Because the problem is, you when you've got several on there, you put them in and you can't necessarily see that one of them has disappeared off the thing. So it makes it hard to intuit that mechanic. Whereas if you do like some sort of impact that shows that something has happened. Just like a blue medical explosion, you know, like a Overwatch healing grenade or something. Healthcare delivered. Optimum well-being. Just have an announcer voice after each Dave that just says a random thing. Healthcare delivered. Optimum well-being. What have we learned this stream? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. I think, yeah, we can go back to that. I think when you do like a web build and you're trying to test a concept and see how people react to it, I think it's important that the game is at a stage where there's enough for people to react to. Like, this is kind of perfect in terms of just like, you can see which of these three things people vibe with the most. It's kind of like, there's something I've seen Jonas Terra talk about where he was talking about like, if you just have a prototype, you don't have anything to compare it to. If you make two small prototypes, you've immediately got a little bit more of a scientific process because you can see which one people respond to better. And the fact that Tim has got this little collection of 3 of these games in the same game now means that you can see which of the ones work better and why. Wicked sick. Don't use your own voice. Oh, you can rotate the cannon. I see. Okay. Yeah, use your own voice. You know the guy from the guy that made that drug game, that Schedule 1, just got loads of mates round and did all of the NPC dialogue with them with like a... They just got a load of beers, had an NPC dialogue recording party with a rubbish webcam mic or whatever. Yeah, I do think there is something about the the silliness of these games that would lend itself to being a multiplayer game in some way. I can't believe I've even scored 3 so far. I think the main thing we've learned is everyone wants single player RTS games. Please make one. Somewhat compelling, but it's also that one doesn't have a natural end, so I'm going to just run again so we can check the third one out. Controls and space, okay. This camera at the top is so good. Can you imagine if you got like more cartoon bandages, the higher your score was? The score should be framed as like an insurance payout or something. It's a sort of ambulance chasing game. This is what it feels like whenever I have to whenever I have to speak to a doctor or or interact with anyone at the NHS in any way, shape or form. This is exactly what it feels like. Dave's not okay, but you know. I can't work out what all of the sound effects are based on, but there's a fun donk in there somewhere. Yeah, this is just normal New Zealand stuff. This is actually quite a serious art game about the failings of the New Zealand healthcare system. Just make it black and white. Hang on. This is how you get a Kotaku, or this is how you get a rock, paper, shotgun article. Just need to do something for the art. One sec. This is my suggestion. Give me a moment. So what we're going to do here, I want to imagine a different creative direction for this game. So I just need a little bit of help from color correction here. There we go. So we have it like that, and then we're just gonna zoom out for a second. I'm just gonna mute that. And this is the version that gets you like an arts grant. Just exactly the same game with this music. And then you have Werner Herzog. But the game is called Kiwi in Pain. And then you get Werner Herzog to dub over it. That's how you get an arts grant. The people of New Zealand are known for their sunny disposition. But it's not all laughs. For people like Dave, life is a never-ending series of painful events. This game shows how people like Dave slip through the gaps in the system. Taika will do anything. Have you seen the bonus feature on Thor Ragnarok where Taika is playing the what's his name, the rock guy that he plays, talking about working with Taika? It's very funny. I'll make the bit short. Yeah, how to turn any game an indie game into an art game. I can't work out how to turn the black and white off now. Ah. I've broken everything. Right, color correction. There we go. Go away, color correction. There we go. Thank you, old mate Dave. Dave is always welcome here on the channel. How long have we got left? We've got about 45 minutes. Let's see how many more we can get through. This is a noir stream, yeah. Been watching too much hard-boiled cop TV recently. Been watching Mr. Mercedes. Just Brendan glazed and effing and blinding at terrible situations for 45 minutes. That's all I need in my life right now. It's getting me through. It's getting me through the moving stress. It's getting me through all of the various family issues. I just need a lovable noir cop in my life. Right, WASD for movement, space for dash, E for inventory, switch weapons, da-da-da. You have one goal. Get flowers from the woods so your dad can make some tea for guests. I was not expecting that after reading dashing and weapons and stuff. Okay. It also happens to be the medieval era. Don't mess this up. It would be a shame if you got caught up in some cult thing going on. Unfortunately, you get caught up in some cult thing. Go get the flowers, boy. Okay, let's try it out. This is called Bits to Bits. Is that the name of the game? I mean, it's up there in the browser. In the browser. Let's do this. I need to make an overlay where we can just have a Werner Herzog down here for whenever we need to do a Werner Herzog. His voice is really hard because he just hasn't lived in Germany for years, so he's got a very unusual mixed accent. Coutard Senior, come forth. I'm really liking the typing effect and the little animation on the character. Woo, that's my dad. Yes, King Morgan. Oh, we're just heads, are we? Okay. My liege, I am honored to stand before the Coutard, you have proven yourself as a valiant warrior. Verily, you are a proud one at that. I am humbled by your words, my king. Don't get too full of yourself. I literally just said I'm humbled. That's like the opposite of being full of yourself, saying you're humbled. As of late, this title is not one of honor. The southern hemisphere has chosen to attack, and we must bite back. Right. Nonetheless, your brilliance on the battlefield has shown that you are truly worthy of this. We need the typing a bit faster because I'm sort of having to read very slow to read it out loud. I hereby knight thee, Sir Coutard the First. I pledge my sword to the safety of this kingdom, Your Majesty, and I entrust you with that task. Now please, take your place amongst the knights who have come before you. Why am I a disembodied head, though? I mean, I know why I am from a practical production perspective, but bits to bits. Oh, is this me? I'm just this guy. I love to dash. I love to be a little cube that can dash. It's not ready yet. What would you like to do? I wouldn't like to do that, but you didn't give me a choice. Benvieux à l'école en forêt. Okay. It's French now. That was a weird amount of sort of fantasy exposition at the start of the game. I've got a wackety branch. A book. These wise words have been passed down for generations. Only a pickaxe can break stone. Very wise words indeed. These wise words have been... Oh, I was reading it again. They've been passed down so many times that they've been written twice. Okay. This is... Art style is cute, I guess. camera feels a little bit rough. I'm not sure what's wrong with it, but some of that might be because we're on a web build. The sort of harsh contrast of all these outlines is very eye-hurty when you sort of combine it with the camera. Right, I've got a branch though, and that's all that matters. I can beat up a flower? There's some sort of combo system down here. And... oh, I can use the stick to beat up whatever that was. There's a lot of things where it's like... like, what is the object is sometimes fighting a bit with the art style. I'm generally all in favour of people just like doing what they can in terms of art and coming up with some minimalist thing that fits their skills. But there are a few things here where it's just like, what is that? Hello? Oh. I wanted you to be a friend, but you're not. You're a thing for whacking. I think even just colouring these trees in dark grey so that the contrast between the black outline and the white interior would make this all a little bit more relaxing on the eyes. But I know that that would look like a very different game, but what it would do is it would focus all this white and bright on the actual play area. Because at the moment, this has a very high internal contrast, so it's drawing our eye and our attention a lot of the time. Whereas this is where we want the attention to be, and it's got kind of less going on in it, so it's... yeah, I would try and make the game like a big pale space where all the interactivity is, and then this area could be like a little bit more dark or subdued. I got the flower. Yo, can I? Ah! What? Who are you? What do you want? I'm just looking for some tea ingredients. This flower is sacred to our order. You can't just take it. Yes, I can, and I am. Absolutely not. Our savior needs this. Look, I'm not in the mood for a religious debate right now. Don't you dare disrespect our Lord. I really just don't care. All I want is the flower. Fine. You want this so badly. Come get it. I will. Uh-oh. Oh yeah, I need to remember that I've got a dash. Combat feels kind of good. Like there's some kind of variety to how the combat works, which is interesting because it's like I'm almost certain that if the developer had not gone with this minimalistic art style, we would have, you know, it would have been taken a lot longer to get to this stage where you can have these, you know, variety of different enemy attacks and stuff. I'm not super into the story. And I think maybe that's just because, like, I kind of like the art style and I like the music, but they also suggest something a bit weirder. And the story so far that we've been given is very, very trad fantasy. It's like the setup for a JRPG, like a Chrono Trigger or something like that. And that doesn't totally wed with the sort of quirkiness of the art style and this strangely the music is giving me existential angst, but the story is just like, go and fight someone for some flowers. Lots of neat little creative decisions, but I think one thing I would say is like a lot of games that go for no color or two colors don't think hard enough about legibility, and I think they have done a good job of thinking about legibility here. We've done like outside, and that was presumably outside in the sunshine, so it was bright white, and now we've got this darker space, and this allows the white bits to pop out a bit more. I mean, it seems very visually clear, but I think the camera does need looking at because it's very sluggish. But maybe that is just because it's a web build, or maybe it's to do with how the camera is programmed. It's hard to say. Yeah, I think, Robin, I think you're right. I think there's probably just a bit too much dialogue for how kind of... It's sort of like a relatively casual adventure game, right? We go through, we learn how the combat works, we pick up some items. The dialogue is a bit voluminous for the type of game it is. I would really recommend the developer of that look at Minute. It's like a sort of minimalist Zelda-like. I don't know if anyone else has played Minute. I think it's one of my favorite games in terms of like showing you what how to do an adventure game at a small scope looks like. Because the way it works is your character dies after a minute. So you have to find the next kind of Dark Souls bonfire checkpoint, or you go back to the last one. And there are things that will change when you move things around in the environment. They will sort of be saved, but your position when you die is always reset unless you find the next checkpoint. And really, really great. Really, really great example of how to do that. And this just has, like, in terms of dialogue, this has characters that can say one little thing. Yeah, I think that last one, that did feel like a weird mismatch between how light the game was in terms of what you were doing and how heavy the story elements were. Dolky. What's this? Sadly, I was not able to actually implement a good tutorial or music in time for the feedback quest. Okay. Toem. Is Toem a acronym? Ah, so cute. It's a new one, 2025. I haven't played this yet. It's very pretty. I love that we're getting sort of over the garden wall core games now, like this and the Onion Head game. What's the Onion Head Metroidvania? This one, the Brave Onion game. I love that we're getting games with that style now. It's good. You will be hosting a show to wow the audience with the colourful combinations of sheep. There are 3 types of offspring: dominant, recessive, and dual. Oh no, we're doing genetics again. We had a lovely flower breeding game about genetics a month or 2 ago. It was really, really nice. It was quite slow to sort of work out how it worked, I think. But it was very pleasing. But that's because it was a very sort of toy-like game that was all about the pleasing interactions of you put this thing in here. Yes, I understand how genetics works. If both parents have the same recessive gene, the offspring can be recessive. Dual types can occur when both parents' genes are expressed simultaneously. Oh, am I the president? The reason this is bigger is because earlier I made it this big, and then I didn't shrink it down to the original size. I just sort of left it like that. I've already got enough submissions. I don't want any more, you know. This is just a business funnel so that some of you will pass by the Patreon stuff on the website as you go to submit your game and you go, "Oh, actually, maybe I'll give that guy £3 a month instead and join a lovely community of people that help me with my game." That would be nice for me to do. Oh yeah, we did have someone ask earlier. It was about an hour ago. Go ahead, see what kind of sheep you get. Let's breed some sheep. Brown and taupe. Breed. You got a taupe sheep. Lovely. All the Kiwi games today. Class and gene combos can be scored with duplicate sheep. Okay. Recommended combo. Earn enough spur to complete the show. No hazards. Okay. Black sheep. Monochrome. Okay, so these are the little traits that they have. There's something very cute about the idea that the breeding is happening at the show. Oh no, the breeding isn't. This is a show that happens after the breeding. This is separate. This is a separate phase. Ribbons give a variety of effects when equipped, including giving more spur or changing a sheep's tags. Okay, so we can use ribbons to like directly change the sheep in ways that we can't do through breeding. We are getting eugenics-based Balatro likes. That's what we're doing. Dolky and John. I'm gonna breed you. I got a blush sheep. Nice. Don't forget about your ribbons. Okay. You're a white sheep now. So you can put buttons on them to racially confuse them. You can make the Rachel Dolezal of the sheep world. This one's giving me bonus for white sheep, so I've got a reason to just keep playing those when they come out. White sheep added 10 happy points. I sort of get what's happening at a rules level in terms of like the game mechanics here, and I like it. it's hard to sort of take in the phases of scoring and stuff. And I'm going to need to sort of focus a little bit more on those. See, this big hazard, flowers will fall on sheep, making them sleepy. They score 0 times. Okay. That's through this entire round, is it? Oh, that one's sleepy. So what I would do here, my temptation is to say, there's a potential problem here, right? And it's not a big problem, it's a tiny UX problem. But I think while you're testing the game and trying to work out whether this is like going to be a big project that you spend more time on, which is, you know, it's been submitted to feedback quests. So this is something that someone is working on as a long-term project. When you're testing the core gameplay, be wary of merging rules and flavor explanations together. So here it says, flowers will fall on sheep, making them sleepy. They score da-da-da-da. Okay. I would just say, X random sheep will be sleepy. They score da-da-da. Because the bit about flowers falling on them is thematic, but we can show that through the animation. You already do show that through the animation. The flowers fall on them, they go to sleep. But this, unless flowers is a keyword that is used somewhere else in the rules, it's actually quite confusing at this stage. So I would just try and make sure that all of these descriptions of hazards and scoring things are just totally dry. There is nothing in them that does not describe a thing that is going to happen and something that is in the rules. And then let these little feedback things like the sleeping bits and the flowers coming down, let those little visual things like strengthen that, but don't mix flavor and rules text in the same piece of text, because it's just making it hard to understand the game in a way that is not helpful. Great show, you've earned $15. I'm just going to keep putting put the brown sheep badge on someone. I want a pink sheep, for sure. This is going to be a hard one to really judge in the short amount of time that we're giving to each of these games, but let's... It would be good if there was a way to expand how many sheep you drew at this stage as well, because what we got 4 and there were 6, so we got 10 in our total deck, and just drawing 4 and having to breed from them, it's fine, but it is a point of frustration. And every time you have a little point of frustration like that, that might be a place where you can put an upgrade in that becomes like a big target thing. It's kind of like getting a new worker in a worker placement game. In a game like this, if you're saying draw 4, that's where you do your breeding. So okay, how can I make that number 4 get bigger? Is there a way I can upgrade that to 5 or 6? That would be a really neat thing to be able to aim for. Coffee will spill on sheep, turning them brown. That's fun. Okay, that's good though, because we've got this bonus that we get for how many brown sheep. So we just want to put in all our non-brown sheep and have them turned in. The hazard, it's hard to tell when the hazard is triggering. The hazard wasn't consistently triggering, so it says this will happen. When will it happen? If the hazard always happens at the same time and does like a thing to one random one, then I could understand, but it doesn't seem to be very clear in terms of when this is going to happen. And if it happens to a random one, say one random, right? Or if it happens to all of them, say it happens to all of them. But it says, will spill on sheep, or will spill on one random sheep, seems to be what's happening. I really like that at concept level. I would probably really enjoy it as a tabletop game. The UX you've got around how text is shown, the wording of the text, all of the scores and stuff isn't great at this stage. And I think what you should do if you want to develop this game into like a serious commercial project, which you could do, I think there's a charm to it, is I would pick a specific graphic design object to base a lot of the UI on. And what I mean by that is, you know, what I do when I'm getting ideas for graphic design and UI and stuff in games is I go and I try and find like documents and stuff that have a particular style to them. This is kind of what they did with Mini Metro, right? With the game Mini Metro, the whole game is interface, right? And it's all based on there's like this design bible. Here we go. It's all based on that. So with the sheep game, you could try and find a similar thing, like the new farmer's manual. You can say, okay, I'm going to design all of the text and all of those blocks to look like a particular thing, because at the moment it's just chaotic and it makes it very hard to kind of take the information in. And then there's the wording of the rules. Like if something happens to one random unit, then say one random unit, because at the moment it's not worded that way, so it's very unclear what's going to happen. And then don't mix flavor text and rule text together in the same thing, because it's just confusing and hard to learn. That's why Magic the Gathering cards have the little story bit in italics that's separate from the game rules. Right, so they have this bit under the line. That's the story stuff. So that's the equivalent of flowers falling on stuff and making them go to sleep. All of the stuff above the line is rules text. And here, down at the bottom, the italics is used to say it's flavor text. Here we've got the italics in brackets, which is to explain what flashback means, what that keyword means, right? So you separate out the rules text so that the players don't get confused when they're trying to just understand the rules of the game. The benefit in a video game is you kind of don't even need the flavor text, because things like the VFX going off, the sound effects that you play, you know, Hearthstone doesn't have flavor text on the cards as you play, but when you play a minion, they're going to have like a little VFX that plays, they're going to go, oh, hello, or whatever. So that kind of fills in the role of adding this bit of theme. I would always avoid putting flavor text into the rules or in a card game, because you're going to confuse people and make it harder to play. Concrete echoes. This is not intended for browser. Well, we're going to give it a go on browser, and if it doesn't work, we're moving on. AD, spacebar, shift, absorb with enter. Gamepad. Okay, gamepad for the best experience. Thank you. Every time you make a platformer with keyboard controls, something bad happens to an angel. It's just a picture in my head. What am I supposed to do? Just start walking. Okay. We've got a very floaty jump. I like the little jump. I like the jump animation. Do we have our hands in our pockets? We're doing a platformer with our hands in our pockets. Interact. Crappy fast travel system. I can't back out of the fast travel system. Okay. I see. Needs the mouse even though we're using the gamepad. Background feels a little bit too detailed and down to earth. We've got this very abstract front layer of like stuff which is floating in the air, and then the background we've got these very realistic looking kind of New York buildings. And I think that can work, but it would work better if we had like a coloured shade over the buildings or something to... What's the weird time rewindy ghosty one called? Is it Ghost Spot or something? It's kind of reminding me a little bit of that. I absorbed that person. I can't get up there. So we've got our hands in our pockets because our punch is a sort of psychic magical punch. I really like the enemy designs. I like all these kind of urban ghoulies and ghosties. That is something that appeals to me thematically very much. As a long-time John Constantine fan, you give me like a goblin, but the goblin is in a modern city. There's nothing I like more. You know, there's a witch, but the witch works at a delicatessen. And it's not like a Studio Ghibli delicatessen that occurs in... No, it's like in the real world. That's the best stuff. Hook me up with the... Yeah, I don't know if we know how to do raids on YouTube. It sounds like too much effort. I mean, you've seen how much difficulty I have, like, operating a web browser. So, I feel like if, like, the average age of an Indie Game Clinic watcher is going to be somewhat higher than the average age of a Bite Me watcher, right? So we're already at a disadvantage. Because we don't even need to know how to use our online banking. Huh. That's funny. I think they're just adding all of these features to make it harder to manage through Streamlabs, because they want you to only use one platform. Because these are all features that are just impossible to manage via a third party. So the more they keep adding silly features that I can't see off platform. I've played, I don't know, probably about 300 games today, I would say. Not literally, but every game I've played has been representative of lots of other games, because that's how games work. I think the camera is not feeling good in this. It's quite jarring. Maybe that is because of the web build, but we're only playing web builds today. I think the buildings in the background are very nicely rendered, but I think they are much too kind of high contrast and colourful. I would, you know, that chromatic shading you've got with the turquoise buildings in the background, I would bring that right up to the ones in the foreground. So these ones closest to us are still kind of a little bit blue as well, because they're just too detailed, and it really draws attention to the fact that we've got this very abstract classic platformer thing of like floating platforms, and then it's over a realistic background. And I think that can work, but I think it's just drawing a little bit too much attention visually at the moment. It kind of makes me feel, it feels like a sort of early 90s like Disney platformer. A lot of them were like this. They sort of went to great lengths to make a really big character that looked very nice, but then ended up being too zoomed in, and Yeah. Yeah, I don't know how many we've got through. We've definitely done at least a dozen. It's more games than I usually do on a Thursday, but every time I open the spreadsheet to try and plan each week's thing, I look at it and it's so long. And I go, oh, is there a way that we can get through more of these games more quickly? So today I just thought we would pick the web browser games off the list and... I want to go up there, but I can't. Oh, I've got a dash. Okay. That's what I needed to know. That was my missing piece of information. Of course I have a dash. I'm gonna... How many games do I have? There's like, how many was it that we saw in the... Sorry, I'm trying to... $212 games in the queue. They don't necessarily get seen in chronological order, though, from when they've been submitted, so... That's why I try and do themes to the streams, because that way it's not kind of biased towards people who submitted their game earlier. Plan C. This game was made for a game jam, but the question is, could it be turned into a good game, and how? I love that wording. Get mum, get Liz, go to pub, relax. You have the plan, now just do it. Okay. We're doing Shaun of the Dead. Probably going to be gory, folks. Hello? Are you Nick Frost? Oh, God. I mean, this feels more like a... There's a particular type of game that I really don't like to cover, and I tend to not put it on the stream if I see it, which just it's kind of like feels like a technical learning project. And it's like... you know... Should I make this into a full game? You run around a map and you find objectives and there are zombies and maybe you have a weapon. It's like, well, we know generally speaking if that concept works as a game, right? It's down to how you execute it. Could this environment work for a game? I quite like this environment. I kind of like the idea of doing a British estate as a zombie game environment. It's a bit weird that you've got these very plasticky textures on these trees. But yeah, I mean, we don't really have the working parts of a zombie game here because the zombies are T-posing. I can't hear anything, which is like... If you're going to make a game in a horror genre, you do need to focus on the audiovisual part of it. And it's very hard to prototype horror based on grey box because horror is also based on things like sound and texture and all of that kind of stuff. So very hard to have much productive to say about something like this because, again, it feels like someone's technical learning project, which is not what prototyping is. Prototyping is like, is this idea fun? Sliding around an environment while characters T-pose at you and if they touch you a bar goes down is not really a test of a gameplay concept. It's just, you know. I don't really know what to say about a game like this because you don't have enough gameplay to really test it as a gameplay thing, you know? You've given me a list of plans. I guess I've got... Okay, what we can do is we can at least do what the game is telling us to do, which is plan C, 1, get mum. Okay, I go towards 1 on the map. And there are zombies and I try not to walk into them, which is not particularly challenging. So they're not kind of scary because they are sliding along the floor, and I understand it's a game jam game, so whatever. But they're also not really posing any sort of threat in terms of what they can do either. Hello. Right, we've got Mum. You going to follow us now? We're going to go and get Liz. We got Liz. We're going to go to pub. But yeah, hopefully you'll see why I am quite slow to get through the list and why I spend time vetting stuff, because I feel like giving feedback to projects like this isn't that helpful, because this isn't really at the stage of what I would call an indie game yet. It's just a learning project, you know. We're at the pub. How do I relax at the pub? It feels very much like the developer here has been very, very focused on creating the level block out and making it look like Shaun of the Dead, and not trying to think of how to make any of the interactions interesting, which is the part that makes it a game. And that's kind of what I tend to focus on. Like, it's you know, it's predominantly a game design channel. Sometimes we talk about art and visual stuff as well, because that's important and it's something I can offer feedback on. But this is predominantly like a level grey box with not much interactivity, so it's hard to comment on it in terms of game design, because I mean, we know what a good zombie game looks like. They chase you, they bite you, there's scary noises, it hurts you, and so on. Right, I'm going to get the next one ready. I'm just going to take this call in case it's about my house move. Man, it was Sky, so I thought it might be about the phone changing at our new property, new tenancy, but it was actually them trying to sell me a TV package, which is great. I hate when people cold call you and then they try and like act offended when you're slightly blunt with them. I was like, I don't watch enough TV. I don't need a TV thing. Leave me alone. You must steal gold from the pesky humans, dear servant. As long as you bring me enough gold, I shall let you live. Now go forth, as my hunger grows. That's a very small jump we're doing there. If I jump on the spot, it's a little jump. If I jump and move, it's a big jump. Yeah. I hate cold callers. It's always really sneaky. They always try and talk to you as if you've engaged with them in some way. And it's like, oh, because you're one of our customers, da 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 da, right? Does this have anything to do with the service I already use? No, I'm trying to sell you a new thing. Right, okay. Let's try this again. Right, so we're doing a platformer. I don't think we can fight. Let me just go back. I don't think we can fight. This is my submission for the Go Godot Gam Jam with Gam Jam. The Gam Jam. I put my gam in a Gam Jam. Game Jam 4 with the theme Less is More. How did you make a jam game called Less is More and end up with a game with this list of controls? E to interact, WASD, and I for inventory. Okay. This doesn't feel very minimalistic for a game jam that was about less is more. Yeah, I know. I do love a game about a little guy serving an evil wizard. Okay, you can't really escape once you get caught. Grease King, you should totally play the most crazy and badass browser game ever, Czar's Revenge Crazy Ass. So here's how to submit a game. It says it here. And here's how to hide a user on the channel so I don't see you anymore because you're annoying. I don't do that very often, but I'm kind of tired of it today. It's been a long stream. We've had several people try and jump the queue. And I know you're not the same person that tried to jump the queue before, but every time someone, when you're in like a public position, right? And someone is people are doing something obnoxious. If you're doing something in public and people are doing something obnoxious and they come up and they do it once, then it's like, okay, this person has only done that thing. But then if you have 5 people do that same thing in isolation, okay, they might be individuals, but the way it ends up feeling is kind of like an ascending level of annoyance each time. Right? It's any kind of situation like this. Like, I don't know, if you're in a band and you're playing in a pub and 5 people come up to you separately and ask you to play Wonderwall, by the time that the 5th person asks you to play Wonderwall, you're going to be quite annoyed with it, even though the thing that they're doing is the same level of annoying as the first person who did it. This is why it's so annoying when you're like on Twitter or something, and you make a post and everyone makes the same joke underneath it. Because so it's 30 people all parading how unoriginal they are by making the same joke. If you go into a space where people are obviously asking for a particular thing, like, can I jump the queue? Can I do this thing? And like 4 people have already done it, you're going to get treated worse than the first person who did it because you're like the 5th annoying person that someone has dealt with the same issue. So yeah, don't do that. Yeah, play Freebird. This one is interesting because the goal of this game jam was obviously to try and get you to do something minimalistic, and yet you've done something actually quite ambitious, and I think it's suffered because of that, because like I can't jump away from this guy after I get stuck with him. So So I think we have a small... I'm going to play it one more time to try and see if I can nail this wall run. But I feel like there's something about the challenge that's a little bit broken here, because we can't... Once we're trapped by that dude, we can't really get away from it. I love it when games are crazy ass. The jump is really not... It's not consistent with how high it jumps. Again, it's like... Yeah, that one's a bit... it feels like the basic parts of the game aren't working enough to really comment on the game idea itself, because the jump doesn't jump consistently, and when we get trapped in a corner, we get trapped. Right. I'm going to do one more. We've got one pot planet on the list, which we saw, so I'm going to take that off the list now. Hello. That looks interesting. Generic fighter, maybe. Does it have AI though? Does it have a NPC that we can play against, or is it? Characters look fantastic. Okay, and you've got D-pad, you've got a gamepad as well, which makes total sense for this game. Is that actually running in the browser, or is it? Training? Oh, okay. So I think, hang on. Let's see what the... Yeah, we can't... I love that people make couch-based multiplayer games, but I don't know why you would send them into a streamer that has never streamed any multiplayer games on their channel in the last 18 months. I can understand when people are emailing stuff, but like, so you had to go through the form. You had to submit a thing to a form, and you still submitted something I can't play. Right, let's just look at the training anyway. Look at that wonderful walk. It's kind of beautiful. Who needs Mugen when you've got this? Some of these attacks are wonderful, look. Like the level of detail on that foot when you do that big kick. Wonderful animations. I really like the way that the level of detail on the body parts changes to sort of draw your focus. So what we were talking about earlier about how if you have like a very detailed thing with a higher level of internal focus, it kind of goes up the information hierarchy, so you look at it more. So that thing they're doing with the big high quality foot there. Yeah, the sun reacting is great as well. Hang on. What am I throwing? Does look a bit like them, yeah. I'm just trying every kind of normal combo input I can think of to get this to work. It's so nice, isn't it? I mean, the dev said this was like an animation practice mainly. What would you do with it though? If you wanted to make a successful indie game with this, what would you do with it? So would you make a decent single player version with an AI enemy? Or do you use the combat system to make some other kind of game? Because there's nothing to say you couldn't have a Street Fighter style layout like this, but the enemies have like basically use it to do a brawler, but you beat one enemy at a time, right? So you beat one character and then another character comes in and it's like you versus 5 dudes, right? And you've got like 3 lives or whatever. So maybe not even needing to be a Streets of Rage mode, just like I can't remember what the mode was called. I don't know if it was in a Tekken or a Soul Calibur where you had multiple lives and they could be different characters, right? So the player has their character and they've got like 1 life and they're trying to beat up all of these other characters. They've got like 60% health each, but each time one gets knocked out, you have to fight a different character. That kind of thing. You could do that, and then you could do it with a roguelike structure or like a node map or something as you fight through different areas, and it would feel a bit like playing a Streets of Rage, but instead of having to do levels where you walk around in the levels and smash up barrels and stuff, you could just give it like a sort of single player fighting game core gameplay. You're growing a guy to fight increasingly challenging auto battles. I'm going to change my how to submit games before I forget what I've done, and let's start the next stream with that. And they're like, hey, what does that mean? To make it obnoxious teal. Yeah, that feels great. I'm going to wrap it up there though, and I will send an email to all of these devs to just let them know that the games have been on stream. I'm just telling you that so that I remember to do it, because I've forgotten to do that a lot in recent months, because my brain is broken and I need drugs, and the doctor hasn't given me the correct drugs for a very long time. Because if you get an ADHD prescription in the UK, it's prescribed by a specialist doctor, and then your local GP can't change the prescription. So when there was a bunch of shortages on different types of ADHD drugs, they stopped making the one I was on, so I haven't had it for 18 months. And I've only just got it re-prescribed, so I'll go back on it in the next couple of weeks. But yeah, the local GPs are rubbish. They can give you whatever kind of antidepressant you want, but if you need a stimulant, then they're like, no, sorry, you can't have that. That's proper drugs. You need a special doctor for that. So we'll get fixed. 2 years, Christ, yeah. And the thing is, I know a lot of the time it's like there is a similar drug, but they just act like they're not qualified to switch because it's like, well, that's slightly different. Yeah, and the one that, luckily, the one that my son is on never ran out for him. So we've had delays for him that only lasted like 2 or 3 days. But yeah, for me, what happened was I wouldn't be able to get hold of it for a month. So I would basically have to come off it almost entirely and then go back on it again. And then that was like horrible. So I ended up just stopping treatment entirely because going on and off was worse than just not being on them. It is like, yeah, this does look like 2000's Newgrounds, doesn't it? I hope you all have a good rest of your Thursday, now that it is finally Thursday. And if you want to find any of the games later because you saw one you liked and want to play it some more, and I feel that way a little bit about the RTS game we played earlier, I will be going back through the VOD in a moment and putting links in and timestamps. So trying to make sure I do that as well so that people can track down the games. Because it's just nice, isn't it? It's nice. It's nice.